What happens when a royal guest arrives on live television expecting red carpet treatment, but instead gets real questions? In just 40 seconds, one comment would turn a friendly morning show into the most uncomfortable interview in broadcast history. Good Morning America was supposed to be a safe space that morning. The studio lights were bright, the audience was buzzing with excitement, and Lara Spencer sat ready with her notes and her signature smile. She had done thousands of interviews. She knew how to make guests feel comfortable, how to ask the right questions, how to navigate tricky moments with grace. But nothing could have prepared her for what was about to unfold. Meghan Markle walked onto the set with an air of expectation. The audience applauded as she made her way to the interview chair, waving with a practiced smile. She settled into her seat, adjusting her outfit, glancing around the studio as if assessing whether it met her standards. Lara opened with warmth. "Welcome, welcome. We are so excited to have you here this morning. Thank you for joining us." Meghan nodded slowly. "Well, I almost didn't come. Your team sent a car that was, let's just say, not what I'm accustomed to." The smile on Lara's face held steady, but there was a flicker of surprise in her eyes. "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but you're here now and we're grateful. So let's dive in. You've been working on several new projects. Can you tell our viewers what you've been up to?" "I've been incredibly busy," Meghan said, leaning back in her chair. "You know, when you're someone like me, everyone wants a piece of you. It's exhausting, really. The demands on my time are unlike anything most people could comprehend." Lara nodded professionally. "I'm sure it keeps you on your toes. Your latest venture is a podcast, correct? What inspired you to move into that space?" Meghan's expression shifted slightly. "Well, Lara, I wanted a platform where I could speak my truth without being interrupted or edited. Somewhere I have complete control. Because, as I'm sure you can understand, people like me need that control. We can't just trust anyone with our message." "That makes sense," Lara replied, keeping her tone light. "So what topics are you covering on the podcast?" "Important topics. Topics that matter. Things that regular people might not think about, but desperately need to hear." Meghan paused, looking directly at the camera. "I talk about authenticity. About breaking free from systems that try to silence you. About standing up for yourself when the world wants to tear you down." Lara shifted in her seat, sensing the tension building. "Those are certainly important themes. Now, you mentioned systems that try to silence people. Are you referring to specific experiences?" Meghan's eyes narrowed slightly. "Are you really asking me that question? After everything that's been public? After everything I've been through? Lara, I thought this was going to be a respectful conversation." The studio fell quiet. The audience members exchanged glances. Lara maintained her composure, her voice steady and kind. "I apologize if that came across wrong. I'm simply trying to give you space, to share your perspective with our viewers. That's what we do here. We have conversations." "Conversations," Meghan repeated, her tone sharp. "Is that what you call this? Because it feels more like an interrogation. I didn't come here to be attacked." Lara's eyebrows raised slightly. "Attacked? I asked you about your podcast. I'm not sure how that constitutes an attack." "Your tone," Meghan said quickly. "Your energy. I can feel it. You're skeptical. You don't believe me. You're just like all the others." The host took a breath, choosing her words carefully. "I can assure you, I have no agenda here except to let you tell your story. That's what our viewers want to hear. So why don't we talk about the podcast content itself? What's the first episode about?" Meghan crossed her arms. "Why does it matter? You're clearly not interested in actually listening. You're just going through the motions. Reading off your little cards, pretending to care." Lara set her note cards down on the table between them, her expression remaining calm but firm. "I understand you might be feeling defensive, but I need to be clear. I do care. Our audience cares. That's why you're here. But I can't conduct an interview if you're going to interpret every question as an attack." There it is, Meghan said, shaking her head. There's the real Lara Spencer, the one who thinks she's better than her guests, the one who sits in judgment. I'm not judging you, Lara responded evenly. I'm trying to have a conversation with you. That's my job. I ask questions. Guests answer them. That's how interviews work. Meghan laughed, but there was no humor in it. Don't condescend to me. I know how interviews work. I've done more press than you could imagine. I've sat across from the biggest names in journalism, and let me tell you, this right here is amateur hour. The audience gasped audibly. Lara's jaw tightened, but her voice remained professional. I'm sorry you feel that way, but we still have several minutes left in this segment. Would you like to continue, or would you prefer to end the interview here? Oh, now you want to kick me off? Meghan's voice rose. Of course. Of course you do. You invite me here, you disrespect me, and then you want to silence me. Just like everyone else. Just like they all do. Nobody is silencing you, Lara said, her patience clearly being tested, but still holding. You have the floor. You can say whatever you want, but what I won't allow is for you to attack me for doing my job. Meghan stood abruptly, her microphone nearly falling off her lapel. Your job? Your job is to make people feel small? Your job is to tear people down on national television? Lara remained seated, looking up at her guest with a mixture of concern and confusion. Please, sit down. Let's talk through this. I don't know where this is coming from, but I promise you, that's not what's happening here. Don't tell me to sit down, Meghan snapped. Don't you dare tell me what to do. Do you know who I am? Do you have any idea what I've been through? What I've sacrificed? I do know who you are, Lara said softly, and I respect your experiences. But right now, in this moment, I'm asking you to have a civil conversation with me. That's all. Meghan pointed at Lara, her hand shaking slightly. Civil? You want to talk about civility? Where was civility when your producers grilled my assistant about my requirements? Where was civility when they questioned my request for specific water? Lara blinked. Water? Yes, water, Meghan continued, her voice getting louder. I asked for a specific brand of alkaline water, room temperature, and your team acted like I was demanding champagne and caviar. It's water, Lara, basic hydration. Something I need to function. But apparently, that's too much to ask from Good Morning America. The host took a moment before responding. I wasn't aware there was an issue with the water. If there was a miscommunication with our team, I apologize. But I don't think that has anything to do with the interview we're trying to have right now. It has everything to do with it, Meghan shot back. It shows the level of respect you have for your guests. Or should I say, the lack of respect. You bring people on this show. You use them for ratings. And then you treat them like they're nothing. Lara stood up now, facing Meghan directly. That is absolutely not true. We treat every single guest with respect and professionalism. What we don't do is allow people to come on our show and verbally abuse our staff or our hosts. I've been nothing but courteous to you from the moment you walked in here. Courteous? Meghan scoffed. You call those questions courteous? You were trying to trap me. Every question was designed to make me look bad. I asked you about your podcast, Lara said, her voice rising slightly for the first time. I asked you what you've been working on. Those are standard, basic interview questions. If you heard something else in those questions, that's coming from you, not from me. Meghan's face flushed. Don't you dare psychoanalyze me. Don't you dare try to make this about my perception. You know exactly what you were doing. You had an agenda coming into this. My only agenda, Lara said firmly, was to give you a platform to speak. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And you've taken that opportunity and turned it into this. Into what? Meghan demanded. Into me standing up for myself? Into me refusing to be bullied by another talk show host who thinks they can say whatever they want? Lara shook her head slowly. Nobody has bullied you. Nobody has said anything inappropriate. You're creating a narrative that doesn't exist. There you go again, Meghan said, her voice dripping with contempt. Telling me my reality isn't real. Dismissing my feelings. Gaslighting me on live television. The studio had gone completely silent except for their voices. The camera operators stood frozen, unsure whether to keep filming. The producers in the control room were frantically trying to decide what to do. Lara took a deep breath, her professional mask slipping just slightly to reveal genuine frustration. I am not gaslighting you. I am trying to understand why you're so upset when all I've done is ask you basic questions about your work. If you can explain that to me, I'm listening. I don't owe you an explanation, Meghan said coldly. I don't owe you anything. In fact, I'm done here. I'm done with this show. I'm done with this network. And I'm done with hosts like you who pretend to be nice while secretly hoping their guests will fail. Lara's eyes widened. That is completely unfair and untrue. I have never hoped for a guest to fail. My success is tied to my guest's success. When they do well, the show does well. Why would I want anything different? Meghan started to remove her microphone. Save the speech, Lara. I see through it. Everyone watching sees through it. You're not fooling anyone. Wait, Lara said, reaching out slightly but not touching her. Please, just wait a second. Can we start over? Can we reset and try this again? Meghan threw her microphone onto the chair. Reset? You think this is a game? You think you can just rewind and pretend this didn't happen? This is my life, Lara. These are my experiences. And I'm not going to sit here and let you minimize them. I'm not minimizing anything, Lara insisted, her voice strained. But you're reacting to things I didn't say and intentions I don't have. I genuinely don't understand what triggered this. Of course you don't understand, Meghan said bitterly. People like you never understand. You sit in your comfortable chair, in your comfortable studio, with your comfortable life, and you judge people like me who've actually been through something. Lara's composure finally cracked slightly. You don't know anything about my life. You don't know what I've been through, or what challenges I've faced, and I haven't judged you once during this entire exchange. Everything about you is judgment, Meghan countered. Your questions, your body language, your fake smile. It's all judgment wrapped up in a bow of false politeness. The host closed her eyes briefly, clearly trying to maintain her professionalism. When she opened them, her voice was quieter, but firm. I think it's best if we end the interview here. This clearly isn't working, and I don't want either of us to say something we'll regret. Oh, now you're the reasonable one, Meghan said mockingly. Now that you've gotten what you wanted. Now that you've created your dramatic moment for the ratings. Lara shook her head. I didn't want this. I wanted a normal, pleasant interview where we talked about your projects and gave our viewers something interesting. That's all I ever want. But you came in here with your defenses up, looking for a fight, and you found one where there wasn't one. Meghan grabbed her bag from beside the chair. Keep telling yourself that, Lara. Keep telling yourself you're the victim here. But everyone watching knows the truth. They know what you did. They know how you treated me. What did I do? Lara asked, genuine bewilderment in her voice. Seriously, tell me. What specific thing did I do that was so terrible? Meghan stared at her for a long moment. You disrespected me. From the moment I walked in here, you disrespected me. And I won't stand for it. How? Lara pressed. How did I disrespect you? With a question about your podcast? With a question about your projects? Tell me specifically. Your energy, Meghan said again. Your vibe. The way you looked at me. The way you said my name. It was all dripping with disdain. Lara spread her hands. I can't control how you interpret my energy or my vibe. I can only control my words and my actions, and I have been nothing but professional and respectful with my words and my actions." "There's that word again," Meghan said sharply. "Professional. Like being professional means you can hide your true feelings. Like professionalism is some kind of shield for passive aggression." "It's not passive aggression," Lara said, her voice tight. "It's literally just professionalism. It's me doing my job, even when things get difficult. Even when a guest is being, frankly, unreasonable." Meghan's eyes flashed. "Unreasonable? You're calling me unreasonable now?" "Yes," Lara said, finally letting her frustration show fully. "Yes, I am. Because you've turned a simple interview into a confrontation over nothing. You've accused me of things I didn't do, attacked my character, and created drama out of thin air. So yes, that strikes me as unreasonable." "How dare you?" Meghan breathed. "How dare you speak to me that way?" "You've been speaking to me that way for the past 10 minutes, Lara shot back. "You've called me an amateur, accused me of having an agenda, said I'm trying to tear you down, and implied I'm a bully. But the second I push back even a little bit, I'm the bad guy?" Meghan took a step toward the edge of the set. "I'm leaving. I'm not going to stand here and be insulted." "You're leaving because you know you're wrong," Lara said quietly. "You came here looking for a fight, and when I wouldn't give you one, you created one anyway. And now you're running away before you have to face that." Meghan whirled around. "I am not running away. I am making a choice to remove myself from a toxic situation." "A toxic situation that you created," Lara said, her voice sad now, rather than angry. "I really did want this to go well. I really did want to have a good conversation with you. But you made that impossible." "No, Lara," Meghan said, her voice shaking. "You made it impossible. You and your questions, and your attitude, and your complete lack of empathy for what I've been through." Lara sat back down in her chair, looking exhausted. "I hope someday you'll watch this back and see what actually happened here. Because I don't think you're seeing it clearly right now." "I see it perfectly clearly," Meghan said. "I see a host who invited me here to humiliate me, and I'm not playing along." "Nobody tried to humiliate you," Lara said softly. "You humiliated yourself." The words hung in the air. Meghan's face went white, then red. For a moment, she looked like she might say something else, might launch into another tirade. But instead, she turned on her heel and walked off the set, her footsteps echoing in the silent studio. Lara sat alone in her chair, staring at the empty seat across from her. The cameras were still rolling. The audience sat in stunned silence. After what felt like an eternity, but was probably only seconds, Lara looked directly into the camera. "Well," she said, her voice carefully controlled, "that was unexpected. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have a cooking segment that I promise will be much more pleasant than what you just witnessed." She held her smile until the director called "cut." And only then did her shoulders slump. She had conducted thousands of interviews in her career. She had handled difficult guests, unexpected moments, technical disasters, and every other challenge that live television could throw at her. But she had never experienced anything quite like what had just happened. She had asked standard questions. She had been warm and welcoming. She had tried repeatedly to de-escalate the situation, to find common ground, to make the interview work, and it had blown up in her face anyway. As the studio crew rushed around preparing for the next segment, Lara sat quietly in her chair, replaying the conversation in her mind. Had she missed something? Had there been some subtle slight she had delivered without realizing it? Some tone in her voice that had set Meghan off? But no matter how many times she went through it, she couldn't find it. She had done everything right. She had been professional, courteous, and patient, far beyond what anyone could have expected. Sometimes, she realized, it didn't matter how well you did your job. Sometimes people came to the table with their own issues, their own baggage, their own narrative already written, and there was nothing you could do to change that. The floor manager gave her a 2-minute warning. Lara straightened her jacket, checked her hair in the monitor, and prepared to move on. Because that's what professionals did. They moved on. But somewhere in the back of her mind, she knew this interview would follow her. It would be clipped and shared and analyzed. People would have opinions about who was right and who was wrong. They would dissect every word, every gesture, every facial expression. And Lara could only hope that when they did, they would see what she saw. A host trying her best to conduct a respectful interview, and a guest determined to find offense where none existed. The floor manager counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2. Lara smiled at the camera, her professional mask firmly back in place. "Welcome back," she said brightly. "Now, who's ready to learn how to make the perfect chocolate souffle?"